1 minute. One minute. The Editor-in-Chief is live in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, welcome to the program. You're with the Editor-in-Chief live. Great to have your company this morning. Good to have you here. To America we go, and the country is reeling this morning in the wake of the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump. We know the shooter was thought to be 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks. No previous record. He was shot and killed within seconds by the Secret Service. Trump was hit in the air by a bullet. So what's the fallout, and how does this now play out across America? For a man who likes to play victim and martyr, Trump surely can't lose from here. We'll speak to Paul Buchanan, former policy analyst and intelligence consultant to US government security agencies. And we'll head to Johnny Day as the All Blacks see to England, now Fiji and San Diego. He'll wrap sport. And are you disabled? And what is life like for you? Chris Edwards has to be the most charming dude who takes his disability in his stride. Nothing is easy for the cerebral palsy sufferer, but he's always smiling. And this morning we run the microscope over how the government treats disabled people. Stand by, Chris has some clangers for you. I'm Duncan, Garner. The open line is 0800 863 293. Call me. My question is this: can Trump now lose from here? You'd think it's impossible, wouldn't you? Jump on the YouTube, TikTok, leave a comment. All the details are there. It's news time now. Here's MediaWorks Deputy News Editor. It's Grace Cocker.
There will be an independent review into the Secret Service after Donald Trump narrowly escaped an assassination attempt. The presumptive Republican nominee was shot in the air while a spectator was killed and 2 others injured. President Joe Biden says the attack is un-American.
I spoke with Donald Trump. I'm sincerely grateful that he's doing well and recovering, and we had a short but good conversation. We must unite as one nation to demonstrate who we are.
And the man killed at the Donald Trump rally was shielding his daughters from the bullets. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro says the victim was a 50-year-old firefighter.
Corey died a hero. Corey dove on his family to protect them last night at this rally.
The death toll from the bombing of a UN school being used as a refugee camp in Gaza has grown. At least 17 Palestinians have died in the recent Israel airstrike. The bombing adds to a weekend of violence by the IDF, with 90 killed and 300 injured during a single attack on tents in a designated safe zone. Thousands more job seekers are set to be targeted with the rollout of an over-the-phone employment case management service. It will focus on those aged 18 to 24, and sanctions can still be applied if appointments are missed without sufficient reason. The number of engagements between the ministry and job seekers is expected to grow by 50,000 per year as a result. To sport, the Euro football final is underway in Germany, with England trying to win their first major trophy since 1966. They're taking on Spain, and after 30 minutes, it's 0-0. To rugby, New Zealand's lost in the Under-20 World Championship semi-finals at 55-31 to France. And back-to-back crowns for Wimbledon for Carlos Alcaraz, the 21-year-old Spaniard winning the final in straight sets over Novak Djokovic. That's news in sport.
Okay, Grace. Now, Trump. Where were you when this happened?
I was about to go take my dog for a walk and spent the entire walk monitoring my phone.
Exactly. It's one of those. It's
I don't even remember the walk. I was just on my phone.
It's one of those
the whole
moments,
time.
isn't it? Where were you when? It's like Princess Di.
Yeah, and
He's
it was
so
that
lucky.
incredible picture that's come out of him with his fist up, covered in blood on one side of his face, the American
Fight.
flag behind him. Yeah, yelling fight. I mean, he's won the election.
It's the image, isn't it?
It's very close.
Yep. It's the image that will sustain, isn't it?
Define his president. You know,
Yep.
the next term.
Yep.
Garner.
Okay, an assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump at a rally in Pennsylvania has left America reeling, obviously, this morning. Everything in this campaign for the White House has just been turned on its head. Trump, for a start, is lucky it wasn't a high-powered weapon. He may well be the luckiest man alive. Meanwhile, all sorts of accusations have been flying overnight. The blame game has started. Was it orchestrated? Was it Trump's people trying to make him look heroic? Others blame Biden. How does this shape the campaign now? And how will this lead to social unrest and even violence? Let's have a look at it. Let's have a look at the moment that
couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
Moving his hair. Hold. When you're ready. On you. Ready. Move. Up. Move. Go. Up. Hawkeye's here. We ready?
Okay, we are watching live at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, where former President Trump was speaking on the stage. There has been some kind of disturbance that clearly sets law enforcement and Secret Service into motion, immediately jumping around the former president in a protective mode. The crowd has been screaming. They are standing by. You can hear some voices there saying, "Are we ready to go? Are we ready to go?" We are looking at President Trump. This does not look good. I'm going to be honest with you, from what we can see right here, it looks like they are attempting to move him out, that he may have been injured. He is holding up his arm. He is pumping his fist, but clearly Secret Service wants to get him out of this situation.
Yeah, what a moment. Firstly, though, is it true that the Secret Service was warned about the shooter and paid him little attention? Or has this secured Trump the presidency? Probably both. Dr Paul Buchanan is a former intelligence and defence policy analyst and consultant to US government security agencies. And he joins me now. Paul, long time no speak. How are you? Nice to have you on the program.
Yeah, good morning, Duncan. It's great to see you.
Let's just start first thing. I'll just take it right back, Paul, if we can. The shooter. So it seems like they had 4 or 5 minutes warning. Well, how would that play out?
Well, I've run through scenarios in my head for the past 24 hours. I actually saw the event live. I was finishing breakfast and flicked on the news, and 30 seconds before this happened. So that was interesting in and of itself. What I would say is this. So security is broken down into close personal protection, which is in and around the stage. And then there are various elements of the Secret Service, and most importantly, local law enforcement, who do the outer perimeters. So outside stadiums, in this case, outside a fence, a waist-high fence that served as sort of the natural barrier between the bleachers, the crowd inside the rally, and then people standing out in the field looking at it from afar. Now, right there's going to be questions about who was where outside of that fence. The shooter was killed by a Secret Service marksman on a roof that was to the right and behind the stage, but he himself had a clean eye of sight on the stage from the right. And the distance between the shooter and
the rumbles are still building here in the Raptors nest.
Which is just slightly
We're seeing
less.
32 out of 33 engines lit on the Super Heavy right now.
And here's where it gets interesting. There are reports that people saw him armed, climbing up onto the roof. And a lot of people had policemen right in front of them, were saying, hey, there's a guy with a gun up on the roof. And the police paid them no mind. Now, that suggests to me that both the Secret Service snipers and the police on the ground, when they saw this man going up onto the roof, they believed that he might be law enforcement himself. He was dressed in khaki pants and an olive green shirt, and he had an AR-15, Duncan. I found that out this morning. I thought, given that he had missed, that he had used a lighter caliber, that he simply didn't have the marksmanship to overcome the breeze. And so he went wide left, not on more than one occasion, because he did kill somebody. It turns out he had an AR-15, so all we can say at this juncture is he was not a marksman. He was not a trained marksman, because at 175 yards with an AR-15, with the 5.56 round that are in those things, he had a scope on that thing. He could have well killed Trump with some degrees of ease. So there'll be questions about the interface between the Secret Service and local law enforcement and how they could confuse this fellow possibly with law enforcement. But as soon as he began to shoot, there's video of the Secret Service snipers reacting, and fortunately they reacted very, very quickly. So that's that part of it. In terms of the close personal protection and the tactical squads, they all emerged at the sound of the shots, not just the guys in suits who protected Trump on the stage, but there was a whole SWAT team came running out. There'll be questions as to why they were behind the stage and not deployed around the field outside of the fence. That's going to come to the fore. But for the time being, although it was a terrible outcome for the people who were shot and the man who died, I might say the United States got lucky or unlucky, depending on how you feel about Trump.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably the luckiest man alive today, to be honest, because clearly something hit him in the ear. Clearly a bullet whizzed past his ear and nicked his ear at some point there. I mean, you're talking about another couple of centimetres, and it goes through the side of his head. Simple.
Yeah, I mean, this is sad, but it's a classic case of how to be a martyr without being martyred. This, of course, will boost his candidacy immensely, as you mentioned at the onset. I still would like to know a little bit more about the ballistics of the weapon and the bullet, because, again, a round fired from an AR-15, it doesn't just nick your ear. I mean, again, it's almost inconceivable to me that he did not at least lose that ear, given the kinetic force coming with that bullet. Remember, an AR-15, the bullets inside are designed to kill and maim people. I mean, they're weapons of war. So, again, the degrees of fortune that the goddess bestowed on Trump in this event are truly extraordinary. And maybe we'll find out that the gun that was retrieved at the site was not the gun that was shot, although there are no reports that there were any other long arm. No one saw him with a pistol. At that range, a pistol wouldn't have worked. And so assuming that this is the weapon of choice, incredible that all it did was graze him. And, it not only did it graze him, but it didn't even ruffle his hair. I mean, his hair got messed up when he dove to the ground. Truly extraordinary, but also proof that this person was not a marksman. Clearly had not received a lot of training in the use of that weapon, and I guess we should all be very, very thankful for that.
Yeah. What with this, Paul? when I heard the gunshots, I thought it was a very light sort of rifle, or even something that wasn't. The reason why he didn't die, didn't really harm him in any way, because it was light. Because it sounded very poppy, didn't it?
Yeah, it had that usual firecracker sound.
We'll try and get that audio sorted out, yeah, because the audio's no good right now. So we'll try and get that sorted out. Yep, we'll just deal with Paul if you can. We'll see if we can get him back. But no good, no good. Who thinks that Trump's going to? Who thinks that Trump wins it as a result of this? 0800 863 293. We'll hit to sport very shortly. 0800 863 293 is the number. We'll go 3 questions. We'll try and get Paul back.
3 questions from the Editor-in-Chief. 1.
At number 1, you asked for tougher sentences. Does this do it? A teen involved in a smash and grab robbery of the Bayfair Michael Hill jeweller store has been given a crushing sentence, with a judge saying a strong message needs to be sent. Cyrus Martin, 18, has been sent to prison for 6 years for his role in an aggravated robbery of Bayfair's Michael Hill jewellers. Martin was one of a group of 6 who donned masks and hoods and sunglasses, took up their weapons, and after stealing 2 getaway vehicles, robbed the store of nearly $280,000 worth of jewellery. Martin has more than 20 convictions and has appeared in court 37 times in his short life. The judge said, no intervention so far has worked, so you're not getting the message. So you're going to do 6 years inside. Take them off the street. Well done. Maybe the judges are slowly getting the message, don't you think? Right, at number 2. Yeah, you are unruly. If you're unruly and loud and disruptive while living in the State House, should you get booted out? Under Labor, few did. It was a tendency for life kind of stuff, really. And as a result, the bad buggers carried on their unruly parties, flipping the bird on the rare occasion that Kāinga Ora turned up shaking in their winkle pickers, wondering what to do next. Well, Housing Minister Kris Bishop has said enough of the namby-pamby approach to those unruly thugs in the burbs, and the State House for life lease has gone. The message has been sent to Kāinga Ora. If they misbehave, evict them. No more free passes for being antisocial. This puts the entitled loudmouths on notice. It certainly does. They're out.
3.
Number 3 today, remember Beverly Hills 90210. You'll remember actress Shannon Doherty played Brenda Walsh. It's been announced this morning that Doherty has died after a long battle with cancer. She was diagnosed in 2015, entered remission, then her cancer tragically returned in 2020. On her podcast before she died, she said she wants her remains to be mixed with her dad and mixed with her dog and scattered in Malibu, where she and her father spent some precious time. Oh, and I'll do number 4 as well. Rest in peace, Richie Simmons. If nothing else, whenever I was sick and stayed home from school, I'd switch on the telly and all we got was a screaming Richie doing jazzergetics or jazzercise. He became a bit of an icon, didn't he? The face of fitness after being teased for being a fat 10-year-old. I think that's a bit mean anyway, but that's us.
Garner.
Okay, 0800 863 293. I think we've got Paul back, have we? We've got Paul back? Okay, we're going to do sport with Johnny Day from the Sporting Rumble. Johnny, g'day, mate. Nice to see you.
I'm always here when you need me, Duncan.
Thank you so much. This will be the last Monday I think we've got you.
Yeah, for a wee while. Yep, going to be a dad for a second time on Saturday. My missus is going in for a C-section, so
congratulations, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a girl dad. I've got a 4-year-old boy, and so time for a girl. I'm sure it'll be easy. Everyone's told me the second one's easy.
No worries, mate. Easy as. Okay, top of the list.
ABs. Yeah, it's got to be the ABs. And Beauden Barrett. I mean, I doubted when he re-signed with New Zealand Rugby basically through to the next World Cup. I was like, really?
2027?
What are you up to, mate? Aren't you like 2-time player of the year in 2016-17? Aren't your best days behind you?
Yeah.
And then he came onto the field and changed that game completely. We were losing by 4 points. Beauden Barrett comes on and everything he touched turned to gold.
Do you know, I've never seen a game turn on the basis of one player like that. Never.
Not at that level.
No.
Just outstanding. And it reminded me of his first 4 years in the All Blacks, from 2012 through to 2015, where he'd come off the bench at fullback and just dominate.
He's a 23, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. But
why is that though? But why?
Also at this, the amount of space he gets and tired defenders, we saw that line break where he set up Talia in the corner. Like, he has just got wheels. He is so fast. And maybe when he gets bogged down in the playmaking in the 10 jersey, we don't see the best of Beauden Barrett, but we did at the weekend. Yeah. And I think he might have to start against Fiji when we bring a few rotations into the squad and name a few debutants. It'd be great to have Barrett running the ship, I think.
Isn't he better, though? Isn't he better against Fiji? Probably, you're fine. Yeah. But against these big sides and the big games, isn't he better to analyse the game for 50 minutes, then introduce himself, and then bang, look what you get?
Yeah, it's worked well, but at the same time, without him on there, we're either losing or drawing. Yeah. So why not have him on there from the start? Because McKenzie, I think at this point in time, probably needs an experienced hand at fullback to help him with the playmaking. He's doing okay, and Perifeta was great again. Yeah. But I just think that McKenzie-Barrett combo from the start, we've got to have a look at it at some stage.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right.
But it was great, and then the Black Ferns yesterday against the Wallaroos, 62-0. I mean, we need to get some decent opposition down here.
It's England, isn't it?
There's only 3 decent teams apart from us.
Canada?
Yep, Canada, who beat us earlier this year, France, who are good, and England, who have won, I think, 45 of their last 46 games.
It's a four-nation event.
It is, yeah, and we just don't get anything out of playing the Wallaroos. We've never lost to them and haven't even come close to it, really.
Why are they so useless?
Because they chuck all their money into the sevens, and they do not put any money into women's 15s.
God, our sevens girls are good too, eh?
Yeah, they're awesome. Our under-20 boys got pumped this morning in their semi-final at the World Champs in South Africa, 55-31 to France. 4 finals in a row now for France. And the under-20s...
What are they doing? What are they doing well?
Well, they're massive. These guys guys are huge. They've got a big array of players, and a lot of them are just ginormous. The domestic game in France is on fire. Well attended, a lot of money, and very high standard.
But they're clearly putting dough into it, aren't they? Because they're clearly protecting these players and looking after them and developing them. Because if you look at some of those French players, they were like men.
They're giants.
There's a couple of props.
Yeah, and they're playing England in the final, who are giants as well. So our baby blacks did all right, but it did look like boys against men.
How do we get big boys? How do we get the big boys coming?
Yeah, without shoving creatine down their throat when they're in nappies? I don't know. I think
Can't beat them, join them.
I think we just naturally develop later as rugby players, which is fine because the All Blacks are still going all right, aren't they? So under 20s, not too worried.
What do you got, tennis?
Yeah, Wimbledon. Yeah. Carlos Alcaraz is just amazing.
He's God, isn't he?
I think we knew when he won the US Open a couple of years ago as a 19-year-old, this guy's going to be good. Now he's got 4 Grand Slam titles at the age of 21, back-to-back at Wimbledon. I think Novak Djokovic has maybe dusted on 24 Grand Slam titles because
he's done.
Alcaraz, you got Sinner, who's the number 1 player in the world now. You got Medvedev, you got young guys, Alexander Zverev. I just think Djokovic is still doing really well to make finals, but to win one is tough.
And he looks a bit knuckly too, doesn't he? He looks a bit. He's needling the audience and everything, isn't he?
Yeah, I love that in the crowd. That's the Djokovic we love. We hated. Because he was the villain. You know, you had Federer, who's the good guy. You had Nadal, who had his fans, and Djokovic was the bad guy.
He was the guy we didn't like.
And he tried to reinvent himself as this nice guy who's into sportsmanship. We're like, that's not you, Novak. So to see him having a go at the crowd at Wimbledon was great. It's like, the old Novak that we all know and love. But 24 slams, he might be stuck on that for the rest of his career.
Yeah, I agree. But the Kiwis have done well. I'm going to say something in my slam dunk about the Kiwis.
Yeah, Erin Ratliff making the final and now the number 1 ranked women's player in doubles in the world.
That's amazing.
Pretty awesome. We've got the Euro final happening at the moment. The last time I saw it was 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Spain were absolutely dominating. England's parking the bus already, but it's 0-0, Duncan. So as long as they stay in it, it could be coming home. And Andrei Mikhailovic, who we were excited about last Friday about his world boxing title fight, his mate, or the guy who was up against, the Kazakh champion, fainted at the weigh-in, pulled out of the bout.
Saw that.
And now Mikhailovic is like, well, then surely you get stripped of the title.
And Isaac Peach's right. I saw Peach's comments. He said, we come over here, we're just running out of a garage, we come out of a garage, we got no money, we got nothing, we come all the way here, you got to strip them.
Exactly. You can't get mucked around like that. No. So hopefully he does get a title shot in the next couple of months.
Johnny Day, always appreciate it, mate. Good luck with the baby. Good luck, mate. Hey, it'll be easy, mate. Simple. Yeah, no worries.
Duncan Garner.
Okay, we'll just head back to Paul Buchanan now because standing by and also had a few technical difficulties there. So, Paul, thanks for that. I wanted to pick up that gun, the AR-15 that you talk about. That was the shooter's weapon of choice. What sort of gun is that? No, we're not going to be able to reach him. I don't think. No, we're not.
Garner.
Okay, Kris Edwards is a bit of a legend around MediaWorks. He's assistant content director at The Breeze. He's also one of the friendliest, most positive people you'll ever meet. He also has cerebral palsy, and he's had it all his life. But it's taken nearly 4 decades to talk about it publicly. That's despite being on the radio for nearly 40 years. 40 years? What an old bugger. Now with a new podcast series, he's ready to give cerebral palsy a bit of a voice. And he's with us now. Nice to see you, mate. Welcome.
Oh, thank you very much for having me on the show. I just look very youthful.
Yeah. You don't look a day over for 40, yeah? Have you been in radio 40 years?
Almost. Pretty close.
Wow.
Yeah, I did start very young, like 17 or something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
So you just came straight from school, did you?
Yeah, pretty much. Just sort of nagged my way in.
Oh, what a job.
And I think one of the appeals of this industry at the beginning was the fact that I could be in a studio and people could see me.
Yeah.
Couldn't judge me.
Yeah.
So I think the allure of that, plus playing music for the day, being a DJ, it's a pretty good life.
You sound good on radio, mate.
Yeah, mate.
Hey, so talk me through this. Man, I've always wanted to ask you about this, and we've always talked music and all sorts of things. You're running the assistant bloody head honcho there of The Breeze. You do a great job. What was it like growing up?
There were tough moments back in the 70s and 80s when I was a kid. You just kind of went outside and played and just had to put up with it. And being a disabled kid, I mean, high school you usually get picked in the teams when they line up and say, "We'll have you." I used to get picked last.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say I was bullied much. It's more exclusion.
Were you bullied though? Was there the odd
comment?
around?
The odd comment. I didn't get beaten up, but it was certainly the odd comment.
Yeah.
So I can understand when people, that high school is particularly tough. Usually primary school, they're nice to you. High school's tough.
Yeah.
So
what high school did you go to?
I went to Tiamutu College.
Right.
Then I did the rest of my high school in Australia, actually.
Right.
So
okay, so you don't remember being picked on, but you do remember it being a bit tough at times.
Yeah, at times. I think because there were so many things you couldn't do.
Yeah.
And
plus the 80s and 90s, but in the 80s were pretty vicious, weren't they?
Yeah. They were. They were still whacking you at school.
Yeah.
So.
and so how did it hold you back? You saw other people making sports teams and things. You couldn't get involved in that.
Yeah, no, I think that's the issue that people don't understand with disabled people or parents or whatever. You go through these grieving periods of all of a sudden all your friends are in sports teams or dating or things like that, and as someone that might be different, you often get left behind. So you go.
Is that how you feel?
Yeah, well, I wanted a girlfriend just like all my other mates.
Yeah,
but,
so did I.
So that isn't easy.
Yeah,
and that still would be happening today. I would say that the dating scene for a disabled person is a nightmare.
Yeah,
is a minefield.
Well, how do you approach that?
Well, I would say people have two ways. They would go, I'll say everything about me but that, or they would lead with it and then get no clicks.
What do you do? You lead with it, or?
I think you just got to be. Well, it comes down to the individual because I think people are still, even in their 30s, 40s, or 50s, would still be a secret.
But you're such a positive guy, eh?
Yeah.
You're so positive about your disability.
Yeah.
You haven't really let it hold you back in any way, have you?
No, because I think I used it as a motivation. But a lot of people, this industry is a pretty good mask for anything that goes wrong.
Yeah.
One thing about disabled people, depending on what you have, is there's often symptoms that you don't know. Pain, could be depression, sometimes it's neurological things. So usually there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes.
Have you got depressed as a result of it?
No, not me.
Good on you, mate.
No, that's not my thing.
Yes.
But I definitely have had some physical pain, back issues a couple of years ago, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Do you know that 1 in 4 people would be affected by mobility or disability? And
Yeah. Is it 1 in 4 in New Zealand, is it?
Yeah. When you get a hip replacement, Duncan, you'll be moving into the
mobility. I've actually got a dodgy knee. I think I've got arthritis in my knee. I can't.
So there you go.
It falls apart. So how well set up are we in New Zealand for disabled people? Like, in this company here, it's
pretty good.
It's pretty good, I think. Yeah.
This building is pretty good.
Yeah.
Sometimes when people come to studios with microphones, they can't get them low enough.
Yeah.
That's an actual issue. These seats,
shocking.
Not good for the first person who came in about this podcast. He said, this seat is not built for people with mobilities.
We had a tetraplegic in here, and it clearly wasn't no good there either.
Yeah.
But how is the wider sort of city CBD and sort of the country really? How's New Zealand set up for disabled people?
I think it varies wherever you go. The further away from the metros, it would be more difficult in terms of care and that kind of thing. I think that also funding was in the throes of putting this podcast together. Funding was right at the heart of this, and I had a lot of off-air conversations that weren't recorded about people that deal with funding. So I put it down to a few things. One, that I thought 800 and something was a lot of money, but I would say that the governments haven't ratcheted the need up as the years have gone by.
So how does funding look for disabled people in New Zealand?
It depends where you are. Some people are fine, but I think when they made those cuts, that was tough on
so how big are the cuts? How big are those cuts?
I couldn't put a number on it, but when they just cut it off like that, that was massively.
This was last year.
Yeah, that was massively impacting on so many.
Cut?
They just cut so many different areas.
Did they?
That they had all kinds of things that just didn't continue.
Right. And you felt that you saw that straight up.
Straight away with the guests that came in, because I haven't asked for funding. I couldn't specify anything that affected me. But there were caregivers that had less hours. I tell you what, there is a lot of people that do a lot of good work out there.
It's bloody miserable taking hours off caregivers who help disabled people. I mean, can you get any lower than taking hours off those people? Is there anything lower?
No, it's hard on them. I tell you, let me give you a couple of scenarios as why the government needs to think about it in a wider area. For example, if you looked after your disabled child or adult and you did your back in, so you'll eventually end up in the hospital system. The healthcare system always ends up at the end of the road, so you end up in ED or something like that. If you've got, people in wheelchairs sometimes pop their hip. So that ends up in the hospital system. If they had more community physiotherapy,
you need more
or
primary care for
yes,
for the people.
This is the stuff that happens that always ends up. So when they think about funding numbers, if it doesn't move with the population and the amount of people, then it always ends up in the health system, which actually costs more.
Yes.
So there's a couple of other areas too that's worth mentioning, Duncan. Is one, management of it, because the way they stopped it like that was crazy.
Yep.
But two, the abuse of it. And there's always abusive systems.
So we know that, don't we?
There's always abusive systems.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's that most people are pretty good.
Yeah.
Most people are grateful, but there's always some buggers that do.
So you're joining the podcasting world.
Yes, so this is called the Cerebral Palsy Podcast.
Yep.
So this came about with one of the guys at work. He's got a wee daughter with CP, so we started having conversations. Me as a parent with cerebral palsy and him as a parent of a child with cerebral palsy. And we started talking about stories. I said, mate, these need to be told. So I started working with the Cerebral Palsy Society of New Zealand, who do a great job, by the way.
Yep. Had you had much to do with them before this?
None. I didn't even
really?
know. I didn't even know they existed.
Come on, man.
No. Look, when you're a disabled person, you've got to decide whether you want to embrace agencies or organisations.
Yeah, and you didn't?
No, nothing to do with them. I got asked at about 15, do you want us to help a job? Do you want to join our soccer team? Like, no, no thanks. Do you want us to, you could wear they asked me once if I wanted to wear a thing on my head that could help me with a typewriter. I said I could do it with my hands. So people were just trying to be helpful.
Yeah.
But actually, I wanted nothing to. So I was an independent.
You wanted
person.
to be as normal as possible, right?
Yeah. So I can't. So this has been a little bit confronting coming back, dealing with disabled people again.
I bet.
Because I think I got asked by the Achilles Foundation once, who do another great job, by the way. They are the people that take you over to runs, the New York Marathon, and they do it as a group. And they said, "Do you think you could do that?" And I said, maybe I could. He said, do you want to? I said, nah. But actually, the reality was I didn't want to hang out with the disabled people.
Do you see yourself as disabled?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. But you do forget, because, I would have, in the cerebral palsy world, I would have what you call gross motor function scale 2. I've got the diplegia type, which is just legs.
Right.
So, and there's various forms of that.
Right. So is yours moderate, or how do you?
It's pretty moderate, yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty
still
moderate.
affects your movement, though.
No. I've got what I would call an obvious cerebral palsy walk.
Yeah.
So, but you know what? I'm grateful for the things I do have and the things I have got. And I was just listening to your mate over there with the sport talking about his new baby arrival.
Yeah.
When my son when I went into the maternity ward to see him born, I was petrified that he would come out with cerebral palsy. I didn't even tell my wife that. I was stressed to the max.
Were you worried it was going to be carried through the genes?
Yeah, well, and it can be genetic. It generally isn't, because it's usually some sort of brain damage.
Oh, so you went into the birthing unit that day, and it was just...
I looked at his legs immediately. When he came out, I was relieved.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was super stressed, and I didn't tell anyone about that. I was super stressed about that.
And everything was okay?
He's fine. He, as a little fella, he's 12 now, when he walked in front of me and mocked my walk, he got it so perfectly that it looked like I was making fun of a little kid.
Oh, wow. So how many kids have you got?
I've just got the one and a stepson. Too.
Wow, that's great, isn't it?
Yeah. So, yeah, it's... for people listening, and it's all about the family and the far now and everybody in the disability world that are dealing with people.
You just confront your disability, and you confront other people's issues.
Look, when I talk to them on this podcast, we talk about things. I talk to parents about feeling guilty. I talk to people about dating. I talk to them about symptoms. I said, what kind of things, when you wake up in the morning, what's the hardest thing? Putting your shoes on. You know,
what's hardest thing for you?
Yeah, putting shoes on.
Same with me.
Because I got a sore back.
Yeah,
all those things. Anything to do with your hips, when they move differently, you get a sore back eventually.
Yeah. What sort of things? Like how far can you walk before you can't walk any further?
I can walk quite a long way.
You can walk quite a long way.
Yeah, I can do all right. I'm going to do the Sky Tower stair climb in a few weeks' time.
Why?
Because
are you crazy?
No, because some of my mates died of cancer, so I do it for them. 1,103 steps. It's hard for me. It hurt. I was sore for 3 weeks afterwards.
Yeah, I can imagine it. So, what your do you have anything that you need to achieve? You want to achieve that you want to solve?
Look,
through your podcast.
This podcast, if somebody was listening who deals with a disability every single day, and it gave them some information or gave them a little bit of inspiration just to help them get through the day if they're having a tough day, then it's done its job.
You need to get the disability minister on, because they've now got a disability ministry, haven't they?
Yes, they do.
Yeah,
yes.
finally. So that's a good move. But immediately what they did was cut funding.
Yeah, immediately.
It's just unbelievable. I think the minimum wage for disabled people went down as well. Which, let's be honest, why pick on these people?
I know. Yeah,
you should get the minister on.
Yeah, totally. I should. But I've got doctors, athletes, mums, everyone on this podcast. We have conversations. I can ask questions that people don't ask because I can get away with it.
Yeah, it interests me that you didn't really talk or address or talk publicly about your cerebral palsy until now. It's taken all this time.
It's taken all this time, and I'm so glad that I've done it. It's been good for me.
I've seen you around the office. You've been uplifted in many ways, eh?
Yeah. It's been good for me because it just. I mean, I don't need to be reminded of it, but it made a difference.
Well, I think you're one of the good guys, Kris.
Yeah.
One of the good guys, mate.
Yeah, and I appreciate your support. I really do.
No, I've always supported you. I've always seen you around, always had you on the show, and, right the way back to Radio Live days.
Yeah, exactly.
You're the man. You're the man. I reckon you take it in your stride. You're humble, decent, positive guy. You're a joy to be around. Okay.
If you want to listen to this podcast, look for the green logo.
Yep.
That's the Cerebral Palsy podcast. Cerebral spelt cerebral. It's got 2 R's in it.
Oh, is it?
Cerebral.
Now, you got some homework to go and listen to all mine now as well.
Yeah, got it. especially your mum.
Good on you, mate. Garner. Kris Edwards, one of the good guys. Right. 0800 863 293 is the number. Duncan Jordan, War 23. So seeing Bodie in that number is fitting, says Tooks. Yeah, I'm with you.
It's the Slam Dunk.
It is the Slam Dunk, and here goes. I'm going to try and be positive and celebrate something every week in my Slam Dunk. Today, it's tennis and the amazing last fortnight New Zealand's had at Wimbledon. And here's the incredible bit that we should all be celebrating. The number 1 ranked player in the world for women's doubles is a Kiwi. It's the Wimbledon doubles finalist, Erin Ratcliffe, who, while she lost the women's doubles final, she's done enough to cement herself officially as the world's number 1 women's doubles player. Isn't that amazing? The world's number 1 women's doubles player here in New Zealand. When was the last time we had a world number 1 player? It was 110 years ago when Anthony Wilding was on top of the world in terms of his tennis rankings. So that's amazing, isn't it? She's gone from obscurity to a household name, and it started with her US Open women's doubles victory in 2023. So suddenly, it's a big deal, and also the performance of Lulu Sun. She has also come from nowhere to be suddenly talked about, and she went further than any other Kiwi woman's gone at Wimbledon. And then there's Michael Venus, beaten in the men's doubles semis at Wimbledon, but another extraordinary effort. Venus has shown over the past 7 years that he's capable of great things. In the past month's proven that. 2 ATP Tour-level doubles titles in the past few weeks, followed by another strong outing at this year's Wimbledon, has pushed Venus, his ranking, back into the world's top 20, and with this sort of form, he may get to the top 10 as well. But sadly, with the Olympics around the corner, Venus and his partner, Marcus Daniel, Tokyo bronze medalist in the doubles, they've missed selection for the Olympics because neither is ranked inside the top 10, or they weren't when the team was chosen. I reckon that's rough on Venus, given his form. Wouldn't you find him a seat on the plane to Paris? Other athletes with far less of a chance will be going. I think it's rough on Venus. He's aged, 36? This is his last chance. If we want medals, send Venus. It's a hard, lonely existence on the tennis tour, and Venus makes a living the hard way. This would be a really nice swan song. Let him fly the New Zealand flag one last time at the Olympics. It's the right thing to do. Meanwhile, if you're looking for something to be positive about in New Zealand right now, it's the tennis. Oh, All Blacks, sure, but it's the tennis. They're not always in the limelight, but boy, do they deserve to be right now? Absolutely.
Garner.
0800 863 293. We've got James on the line. G'day, James.
G'day, how's it going?
Good, mate. Nice to hear you.
Yeah, I want to talk about the funding thing.
Yep.
I think you know about my situation with my wife.
Yep.
And something with the funding has really pissed me off. We've got a really nice car. It's wheelchair designed for my wife. She hasn't got a hoist. So that means she needs either a family member or myself to help into her car.
Yep.
We asked for funding. It's going to cost $6,000 to get it put in. And they would rather my wife have cards to use with a taxi rather than give her a hoist.
Well, that's ridiculous. Because it's going to cost the same over time anyway, isn't it?
Yeah. And she's got a car. What's the point?
Yeah. Okay, well, you've been to ACC and they've said no, have they?
Yeah, they've said no because she doesn't have a job. If she's got a job, they'll give it to her, but because she doesn't have a job, they won't.
Oh, right. Well, this seems silly. I'd keep pushing them. You're now in the media anyway, so, they may not like that, but you've got to keep pushing them, James. Seems ridiculous. You worked up about it too.
We're trying our hardest. We've been fighting. The last time we got a hoist, we had to go, for the last car we had before this one, we had to go through lotteries.
That's
for
ridiculous.
The same reason.
That's ridiculous. We waste so much money in this country on things that are helpful to no one. That's really helpful to someone,
Yeah.
Yeah. You been all right otherwise, mate?
Yeah, no, it'll be good. Yep.
Good on you for ringing, James. Yep. Thank you, mate. And just keep pushing them. Keep pushing them, James. Keep pushing them, okay?
Yeah, I will.
Okay, mate.
Right.
Take care. Yep. Take care. Okay, mate.
Garner.
0800 863 293, Kalo.
Yeah. We've just got an email here titled DG's Fishing Weekend.
Oh no!
Hi guys, I take it that DG doesn't get this email directly. DG has a few passions, fishing is one, and so is the hokianga. He came up on the weekend, just gone, and I took he and Buster out for a fish. They spent the whole time in the cabin asleep.
Not the whole time.
All this way for a sleep. Please take the piss out of him. I think we've got a photo here.
No.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, no.
Look at that, eh? Duncan asleep in the cabin. Put that back up. Put that back up.
Oh, no.
Let's have a good look.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. Now just leave that there.
The fish weren't biting. The fish weren't biting. So
great.
Buster went down first because it was pretty. We're on the west coast, mate. You know, we're on the west coast. She's pretty gnarly. So Buster went down first. I was just sitting there going, when the fish
And the
coming
shorts
on?
and jandals. That's great.
Hey?
Oh, jeez, that's good.
Look at us.
That's from one Leonard Nider.
Thank you, Leonard. My former friend. Yeah, good on you, mate. Yeah, that's me. Have you taken the photo down now? Good.
Yeah, it's gone.
Where are you going to put that, mate? That's gone down to the.
Actually, I tell you what, I should put that on Instagram. Yeah. Well, they'll be up on social media.
Yeah, thanks very much, Caleb. Yeah, no, thank you, and thank you, Forrester. I'm sure you're smiling away as well. That's us. We can't get Paul back, can we? Paul's done. Paul's shot. The sound's no good. Yeah, bugger. There is a polar blast or something going on, isn't there? Yeah. A storm, polar blast and a storm, yep, and there's 0-0 still in the football, I think, England and Spain. That is us. Thank you so much for your feedback. I'm Duncan at rover.nz. This will be available as a podcast on Rover shortly, and wherever you get your podcast. Thanks for your feedback and your support. To my team, Kalo. Yeah, thanks for nothing. Miranda, great work, mate. And Forrester and Zarina, thanks, guys. We'll do it again tomorrow. And remember, life's no dress rehearsal, and you saw that with Trump. You know, you're here once. No curtain raiser. It's nothing like that. It's the best place on earth, New Zealand. So get out and have a good day. Despite the weather, find something to do. Get on with it. Take care.
That was Duncan Garner, Editor-in-Chief Live. Missed something on the live stream? Text Duncan to 3598 to listen back on the podcast. Want to get in touch? Call 0800 863 293.